Okay, we're all the way to part 7 in my artist guide to Sandbox. This is version 2.81 that we're using. In this one, we're going to go over some geometry work. This will be a fun one. I almost forgot to do this, but it's important. We went through terrain, but terrain is not geometry. Well, it is technically geometry, but we're going to think about, well, we'll go into that here in a minute. As soon as I get a new map going. So there are three main, what do you want to call it? Lego types you could use, or construction types you could use for Sandbox. And so what I think the best way to call them would be is you have meshes. These are meshes or models or whatever that you import. We'll just call those meshes. You have geometry, which is what we're going to go over now, and you have terrain. And each one has different rules and different functionality and is able to be used for different things. You use terrain, of course, to create an environment, either around a level or as a level or whatever. You use geometry to create structures. You wouldn't try to use geometry to create terrain unless you want to create some really strange looking terrain, and which you might, but in general geometry is for structures and construction of your actual level and details of the level and where the player will be moving around. Terrain is more for the outside or exterior, or unless it's a cave or something, it's more, I guess you could say geometry is more man-made stuff, and then terrain is more nature type stuff, but I don't know how you want to think about it. But anyway, meshes are used, would be used best as just decorations. For really complicated stuff that would take you 10,000 years to do in geometry, why not just do that in meshes and keep the collision off? And in all areas where you can, because you want to keep the flow, you don't want to snag people. So use these static meshes for geometry and detail work to enhance terrain or geometry or whatever. So we're going to work on geometry today, and we've already done a little bit of this, but we're going to get into some fancier stuff. So I have left click, and now I'm right clicking, and I'm scrolling the mouse wheel up. And I thought, let's make a big column today. I couldn't do this before because I did not have a middle mouse wheel. So if I keep where this cursor is, you see the four, you barely see them, the four little blue dots. I don't know how to change that, but press and hold the middle mouse button and drag down. And you want to stay right there like that. And now if you move the mouse wheel, roll it up, you'll go in. Roll it back and you'll go back. Now you can also do this pressing spacebar to deselect. If you press and hold Q and look at any corner, and now you can do it a corner at a time. And that's pressing and hold Q and then rolling the mouse wheel. I'm not sure what pressing and holding Q with this does. So you can also do individual corners of pressing and holding Q that way. Okay, so we're going to roll it all the way to the end. And we're going to do the same here. And I'm not doing this. Oh, I didn't have enough surfaces. Okay. scratch that one, and we're going to make another one. Okay, we want to make a column. So to do that, we need a minimum of a 4x4 area. So now we have a 4x4 area. Alright. Now, press and hold the middle mouse button, go all the way down to the bottom. Try not to get off to the side there. Scrolling in. Do this on all corners. Okay, when we screwed up. Now you can move the middle mouse. You can move, not the middle mouse. You can move the mouse around and give yourself an interesting selection layer. You saw how I didn't click on the right area there. And I screwed up again. It's acting really jumpy because I don't have very good... You see how I can get the looks like four boxes in there. So right here on this edge, now in this case we only want to do it 2 to 4 times. So 1, 2. But you see, now we have a problem. See what happened here? We got this little lip. So how do we fix that? We don't want that little lip there. We want to move this whole corner. And this is why it's so important to be able to do this. So we'll try it again. It makes it so much faster being able to do this. And it's being a little turd right now because of the stupid leg. Pressing spacebar to deselect. Moving over, down. And now we have this little funky thing. And if we do 1, 2 this time, aha, much better. Makes our job a lot faster. Helps when it actually does the whole area that you want to. Now you're going to want to do that in all middle sections. Yes, you can. Fly around while you're doing this. I'm not 100% sure that it depends on where your cursor is. For this to move, I think it moves wherever you have middle mouse selected. Now if we press E, you can see that we have a perfect circle. And that's our column. And you can take this column and you can copy and paste the geometry, and you can make it bigger or smaller using the tricks that we have showed you earlier. You can do a spear the same way, but I'm not going to try and do that in this tutorial. I haven't learned the best method myself yet. I was trying, but I was unable to succeed. My guess is what you would need is a 4x4 area like this. Oh, come on, now what are you doing? And then what you would do would have to probably be very similar to what we just did for the column. We'll toy with it just briefly so you get an idea. Get your mind going a little bit. And there's some very advanced videos. If you browse around long enough at YouTube, you can find them. They are for older versions of this editor, the majority of them, but still have some useful information. That's how I figured out the whole copy-paste trick. I usually work in even numbers when I'm working with... oh crap. Like you can select to go along the middle line, you can do two at once. But I do even numbers when I'm working with rounded surfaces. It just seems to work better for me. But that doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. Just my way of doing it. Okay, so my guess then would be that if I wanted to make this into a spear, I would do the same procedure again, but this time I would probably, and this would be trickier, forgot how to do it there for a second. I was like, that couldn't be totally different now. When you get that box, it's no good. As you see, you get that. And that happens occasionally. It's one of the bugs with this, and I haven't been able to figure out how to get around that yet. You gotta have the box with the line. Let's see if we're close. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's already taken up a lot of time here. So now we're going to try this edge. This time I have to left click to select the cube edge because it's trying to go with the geometry and there's no geometry there to go with. So it's a little confused. And I'll use that again down here. And now we'll see what we have. Are we getting close to any kind of what would look like a cube? Or I mean a circle. Well, I see some definite issues and some things that didn't work out quite like I had wanted. Something didn't quite work right around here. But there's another video at YouTube that goes over this in depth and probably does it far better, has a better process, but that's as far as I've been able to get. But you can get an idea how you can get around now and select different areas of the geometry and do some really fancy stuff. I've seen some pretty amazing things done for Cube 2, and you can do some really good stuff with the geometry. It's really simple to sketch out a level. I mean, it's not going to be a problem at all for you. I'll give you a demonstration and we'll call it quits. So I'm going to make a ramp. So what do? Well, I scroll up. Let's say we want a slight ramp, so we'll say right here. And then probably my best bet would be not my best bet. Thought I had an idea there. Guess not. Oh, wait a minute. That was the wrong direction. No wonder. Well, you'll have to play with it and see, but that started up a little ramp there. And you could make a real easy ramp and platform level. You could take a little more time with it than that. I mean, there's probably no real super way to get like a slanted surface. Probably better to build it in parts. So if you're going to do like a ramp, probably best to do something like this. And then copy the geometry. That would be my guess. And then press Control C. And we would probably want it at least one or two more up, so let's see if we can figure this out. Change the texture so you can see what you're doing a little better. I'm being lazy right now. Yeah, that would just paste in there. It should allow me to bring that geometry towards me, but it didn't do it. There it did. So there's a process for you. Bring it out one, bring it up one. Now you have a ramp. And you can do that with any kind of slope, of course. And you can fill in this underside however you'd like or leave it. So that's just some basic ideas on geometry. Just doing the basics with the series right now. Just giving you some ideas and stuff to mull over. That should show you all the different vertex manipulation. Oh, there's one more before we go. If you press and hold the F button and then mouse scroll, you're now taking the face in a little bit at a time to the back of whatever the selection is. So F for face. Alright, well that concludes this tutorial.